Hey, what's going on YouTube? I want to talk about tuning today. I have a 2015 Fiesta ST. I featured a lot of videos on my car, and I got a whole bunch of stuff today I want to show you. I printed out some graphs. I'm going to talk about tuning and answer some questions. I got in a few discussions with some friends in the last few days. We were talking about tuning, and I've learned a lot about this, and I thought maybe it'd be cool to make a video and help some people out and kind of share with some of the things I've learned that might help you along the way and make it a little easier for you. So let me jump right into it. We're going to talk about tuning. I'm going to talk about what is a tune, why would you want to get a custom tune, what do you get from a custom tune. I'm going to show you a few graphs again, not driving the car today, but just going to show you some of the data from my car that'll help explain some of the things I'm talking about. And let me start and say Adam of Tune Plus is my tuner. He didn't ask me to do this. I'm just doing it because I want to hopefully provide some good information, and I'm very, very happy with his work. So Adam of Tune Plus, Adam Brunson, is responsible for everything here that as it relates to my car. So what's a tune? Very quickly, a tune is it's basically the program, the software that the makers of whatever car you have installed that communicates, tells the ECU how to communicate with the hardware of the car. So it's figuring out air-fuel ratio, boost pressure if you have a turbocharger, all these different temperatures, all these different things going on in the car, and it's basically the interface between the software and the hardware. So it makes the car run correctly. Typically from the factory, tunes are very conservative, as they should be, for longevity, but because of products such as the Cobb Accessport, in this case with a Ford Fiesta, we have the ability to customize the tune. So what we have here, this is an example of the Cobb Accessport, and for about, they're $550, but you can get them used all day for $375, $400, and it's like new. I bought mine for $400, and it actually, I got it with the engine mount also for $400 used, and I've had it 3 years, never a single problem. But anyway, the idea of a custom tune is you want to, basically what you're doing is you are able to kind of free up some of that conservative nature that the car comes with and kind of max it out more in a safe way if you get a safe tuner. Cobb's tunes are very safe. But then also beyond, kind of taking it and making the car do a little more than it can from the factory. For example, the factory on these cars, our car severely limits torque because of the tires spinning. So with a tune, you can free up torque safely and get a lot more torque out of the car. And it'll take it from I think 220 stock on dynos I've seen, even though it says 200, it's 220 on dynos. And you can get it all the way up to 290 foot-pounds just with no hardware at all, just by changing the tune around, and you can do that safely. But beyond that, you start buying hardware, and then you've got to figure you've got to tell the ECU how to interact with that hardware. So here you see some of Cobb's packages of stuff you can buy. They call stages, and then at that point you need a different tune. So if you buy the Cobb Accessport, it comes with what we call off-the-shelf tunes that are pre-designed to interact with hardware. So there's a off-the-shelf tune for valet, there's an economy mode, then there's a stage 1 tune which interacts with basically just the high-flow air filter, and then there's stage 2 tune, has the it's made for if you upgrade your intercooler, your front mount, and then on and on and on. So you've got those, what we call, again, off-the-shelf tunes. Now, but what I'm talking about is going even beyond that to custom tuning. What custom tuning does is you get your Accessport, you data log, which is where you're going to be looking at all the parameters, and it will record and save that on this unit. And so you record those parameters, and then you send those parameters to your tuner, who looks at them, or you can do this in real life on a dyno. Most people e-tune though, because it's electronic, and it's probably about 90 or 95% as effective as dyno tuning these days. And so they look at those parameters, and then they will customize the way the ECU interacts with your car's hardware in order to optimize performance, reliability, safety, and all that stuff. It's really important, by the way, that you get a good tuner that's going to keep reliability and safety rather than just max out the car. So make sure you pay good money and get someone that knows what they're doing. So with a custom tune, that's what you're doing. You're taking your specific pieces of hardware that you put onto the car, and then you are telling the computer to interact with them in the way that's going to give you optimal reliability and performance. You would not want to run a tune on a car with hardware that didn't match it, because you're telling it to do something that it has hardware that's different for, if that makes sense. So what do you get? Again, you get a customized product, and then I would say beyond that too, another thing you get from tuning is you can customize your options. So in another one of my videos, I talk about traction control, and for this car, my car in particular has 337. This is my dyno from last week. 337 foot-pounds of torque. So in first and second gear, traction control really helps, especially in the winter when the roads are cold and the tires are cold, because traction control, and again, I have a video where I demonstrated traction control, it really can help you get the power to the ground and not just spin tires. So in my case, Adam worked with me. He was very patient and got it to where I tested the traction control on the Cobb unit, and we went through several revisions to get to a point where where it had the exact amount of wheel spin or lack of wheel spin that I wanted for my driving style. And then what he does is he goes, and your tuner can go in and set that amount of traction control, and there's an infinite amount of ways you can customize it, but he'll set that as the default. So when I turn on my Accessport with my tune that's custom, I automatically have the traction control. I don't have to push anything. It's set exactly how I want. And a cool thing about getting a lifetime tune, as I did, is you can have your perfect tune with traction control preset, and then without, if you want to drive and just control it with the throttle and not worry about traction control. Personally, I like it because I can floor the car and it just goes, and there's not all that shaking. The traction control takes care of that. But let me just talk about, and another thing real quickly, when you're considering custom tune, is you get differing fuel options. So you can get a tune. In my case, I have probably 10 finished tunes that Adam has made for me. Again, I have the lifetime tuning, and so you can get different fueling options. You can get a 93 tune, you can get a ethanol tune, you can get a race gas tune, whatever it is that you're doing, and I have all of those on my car. And so having a custom tune just gives you all kinds of options where you really have just full access and control of the car, as often as you want to customize it. So as I kind of close here, I just want to talk about just a few, like the revision process, the way this works. You can see here, this is with my stock turbo, and just each of these lines represents a revision. So this was the base tune, this red one, and then you do your logs, and then he sends you another one, which is the blue one, and then you do your logs, you get another one, green, and then this yellow here represents my final tune. And you can look at the curve here. Again, this is on stock turbo, and this is V dyno, so this is not a real dyno. But this just shows you kind of how revisions work, from red at the beginning up to yellow at the end. You see the power increase there as the revision process happened, and torque as well, how it changed. So the overall here, we're looking at my final tune, which is this one. And so that's how tune revisions work. And so my final plot, and this is a real dyno. I did this down at JST just last week actually, and this shows you my car. This is on the lower plot is 93 octane, and then the higher one is the race gas tune, additive tune. So the car did 277 and 322 torque on 93 octane with the X47 turbo, and then we did 304 horsepower and 337 pound-feet of torque on the race gas. And this just shows you, these are both Adam's tunes again. It shows you just the consistency of these tunes. Again, I think speaks to his level of skill and how good he is at doing this. And then I want to show you a couple comparisons. So I want to show you two comparisons, and this just again, this is not to make anyone out to be a bad tuner. I've had two custom tunes on this car. This again is stock turbo, by the way. So I'm not going to mention the other tuner, but at one point I did have another tune, and then when I decided to upgrade, I decided I wanted lifetime tunes, and I decided to go with Adam. And this just shows you the difference in tunes. Again, the first tuner I had was fantastic. It's not saying anything bad about that experience at all, but I did, once I got Adam's tune, I just thought it was so much better. His experience really made a difference. And this shows you the blue represents, this is horsepower, stock turbo. The blue represents the first experience I had, and then the red is Adam's tune. And you can see just, really up until the place where the power dies off, which with stock turbos around 5,000, 5,500. Adam's tune is just worlds better than the other one. And you see the numbers down here. The one made 215 on V-Dyno, and the Adams made 220, and then torque is where it really makes a difference. 262 on the first tune versus 290 on Adams tune. And you could feel that. The first tune felt like a V6, it kind of felt like a Maxima, and then Adams tune felt like a 4-cylinder turbo on steroids. And you can just see, it was quite a bit of difference. 28 foot-pounds of torque in this tiny car feels very powerful. So the tunes feel great. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was I want to just talk, since I'm talking about tunes, I want to talk about the X47 versus stock. And this just shows you my X47, again, these are V-Dynos, but this shows you the revision process, and you see here all the different ones. So the green ended up being the final tune, and the red was the base map. And this just shows you the tuning process, kind of interesting, and I'll zoom in here a little bit. Just the green, again, is the final tune, the light green, the lime green. So you can see how the lime green is just, shows you the process of tune revisions, how you get more and more power. And this is the advantage of getting a custom tune. And then up here, just this is kind of unrelated, but I thought it would be interesting to show you the difference between a stock turbo and an upgrade. In my case, I have the X47, but there's tons of great options out there. And so this red line represents the stock turbo, and then the blue line represents the X47. And looking down here first, just at boost, if you have this car, you understand that the stock turbo boost is right here, and it comes on early, and then it dies off right here around 4,500 or 5,000. And this is stage 3, by the way. So this is a full custom tune with all the hardware. And you can see that the power dies off, and so you're shifting right around here, and your car is not that quick. And then with the X47, the boost comes on just a little bit differently, and then when it comes, it pulls, and as you can see, it just goes right up to about 61, 6,200 RPM. And that is the power you feel, and it's awesome. It's really, the upgrade is just a fantastic upgrade. It makes the car a good bit quicker. You can see here, 213 versus 281. Again, this is 93 octane. Torque's about the same, but you see the horsepower difference there. And then just looking at the power curve, this is just, again, tells the tale. This is horsepower, so stock turbo. Here we are in the red line, and level. This is with a tune, so it's nice and level. But you can see with the X47 turbo upgrade, the power is just, look at the difference here when you're up at 6,000 RPM. And then torque is the same. The stock turbo comes in a little quicker, but not too much, and then the power just is dying off, whereas with the torque, that is, with the X47, you just have so much more here. And this is an interesting thing to look at. When does torque come in? And you can see it's only about 200 RPM later, so this just kind of gives you an idea of spool time. And the hybrid turbos are great for that because they really do maintain stock-like spool. So in this case, my spool is about 200 RPM later with the turbo upgrade, which you really can't notice. It really is stock-like spool, but you've got all this extra power. And so that's just some thoughts about that. Again, that's not necessarily related. Let me just close this video and just say that Adam, again, Brunson, his tunes are fantastic. I highly recommend him. He's quick, he's professional. Guys, I've had 0 issues with his tunes. I have 0 negative corrections. I have never had a check engine light. I've never had a single problem. He's always taken care of me. Adam Brunson of Tune Plus. I highly recommend him if you're looking for a safe but aggressive tune that's customizable. I recommend he's the guy to call. All right, hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, I know I just talked a lot, but if you have any questions about any of this, please leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you out. And I hope this video was informative. Bless you today. Enjoy the day. Be safe. And thanks again for watching.